Well, hey there, it's David Nuno. Very happy guy today. It's TexAgs Rewind, and today on the show, well, we had the final countdown. The McKinney Brothers were with us, and they were great, as always. We broke things down on that show. Caroline Fenton, SEC insider out of Nashville, she also broke things down, talked about Max Johnson. Sometimes he sees ghosts when he gets sacked a lot. We didn't see that, unfortunately, last year when A&M was at Baton Rouge, and we didn't really see it last week against Miami. He did get sacked 3 times, but had a pretty good game, at least he was efficient, and he was definitely a game manager. But the guys all think that he needs to be better than that this week against Arkansas. Billy Liucci talks about the equalizer against the Hogs. What do they have to do to get it all done? And then the go hour. The 3 things we want to see. All that and much, much more. It is TexAgs Rewind.
I want to see A&M play good, strong run defense. I want to see their linebackers come up and fill in holes.
Okay.
I want to see Devon Achane finally break out, and I want to see Max Johnson find a way to exploit the holes in that Arkansas secondary.
Yep.
That's what I want to see.
I'll give you 3 quick ones. I want to see contained pressure, all right? Have KJ Jefferson stay corralled, all right, and make him throw. I know he can throw, but he's obviously a much better player when he is able to do what he wants to do out of the pocket. Opens up his whole thing. If you keep him corralled, just contain pressure, good things will happen. I need to see the line step up. I think we've seen some progression. Obviously, Bryce Foster made a big difference. Let's hope week 2 of Bryce Foster at center and the rest of the line, and hopefully they figure out, one side of the ball quickly. I don't know if they're going to move guys around like they did last week. Hopefully the line steps up and throw the ball downfield. Please throw the ball downfield. Just open it up, like, as you mentioned, expose part of that secondary issue that they have there with Arkansas.
Yeah, so here's the equalizer for A&M, and I think this is what the game swings on because so much comes out of this. Can Texas A&M run the football against Arkansas? Against Drew Sanders, against Bumper Pool, those dudes fly around. They eat up running plays. They do. That 3-4, Bryce Foster, last year, I was talking with Bryce about it outside Sunday. that was a rough one for him. He was like going up against a 5th or 6th year guy that had transferred into Arkansas from Northern Illinois or wherever. Animal. Playing in the NFL right now. And that guy was just a monster. He destroyed Texas. He destroyed A&M. He was eating up running games by himself. Bryce now is the experienced guy. Bryce is the grown man in the trenches. Can A&M line up against Barry Odom's 3-4 and run the football against that 3-man front? I said 3-4. They changed that linebacker number quite a bit. Can they line up and run against that 3-man front and those 2 really good linebackers? If they can't, then they're going to have a real problem taking advantage of that matchup of their receivers versus the Arkansas secondary because they'll be behind the chains. If they can, they will take pressure off of Max Johnson. You can call your play action plays that frees up those great linebackers. Is that a handoff? Oh, shoot, it's a pass. There you go against that bad secondary. It's 2nd and 4. It's 2nd and 5 or 6. It's 3rd and 2. You can go either way with it. By the way, you also have a chance to get your best player, who is still on Saturday the 2 best. Achane was the best player on the field last week. On Saturday, it should be Achane and probably KJ Jefferson. Though I think those 2 will be the 2 best players out there. You can get you the best player on the field involved and give you more and more of a chance to win. It opens up play action. It sets you up to take advantage of the receivers versus their DBs. It gives Max Johnson time to throw and lets him get into a rhythm, which he's proven in the past at LSU that if he does that, he can light you up for 300 plus. He can have a monster game. He's done it, and he's done it against SEC teams. He's done it against real opposition. And it keeps that Arkansas offense off the field.
What about
and
empty
it doesn't
backfield,
let them
though?
wear you down. I do think you need to do some of that too.
Get those linebackers
Absolutely.
to cover Devon
with number 6 as part of the empty. Yeah. No, I do think so.
Hey, Caroline, help us understand your point of view here with A&M and Arkansas. I've changed my mind 120 times with this game. Just how do you see it playing out?
That's a tough one. And I think that there still very much so could be a race for first place in the West going on. I don't know if that's an overreaction to what I saw from Alabama against Texas, but I also am not counting it out. I think this game could be okay. It's going to be Alabama and who else contending for the West. I think the winner of this game is going to be exactly that. I think the reason why I lean Arkansas a little bit more here is because Arkansas has got a really solid defense. I would say A&M's probably is better. Arkansas is great up front. I mean, they lead the nation in sacks. Their pass defense is atrocious, god awful. And there's a reason why they were trailing Missouri State a majority of the game is because they were throwing the ball all over the place. That's one of Arkansas's biggest flaws is their pass defense, but they are able to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And from what I've seen at my time covering LSU, and Max Johnson was at LSU, was he can easily get spooked under pressure. I've seen him see ghosts a few times that whenever you get to him, when you put pressure on him, when he gets sacked, he can sometimes start to see ghosts. That's one reason I lean Arkansas just a little bit more. And also, I think it's going to be interesting to see how this A&M offense continues to develop because it hasn't been great from what we've seen so far. Is Max Johnson going to be the key? Is he going to be the big change that completely shifts this A&M offense to resemble more of a 2020 A&M offense than what we saw against App State? Maybe it is. I don't know. But just from what I've seen from KJ Jefferson in this Arkansas run game, it's a little bit more established. But I think it's really going to come down to the defense. It's going to be a game in the trenches. These are two really solid O-lines, two really solid defensive lines. So who can get to the quarterback more, who can put more pressure on the quarterback, that's who's going to win this game.
Listening to her talk, it made me think, Caroline, I'm over here going, this is Jimbo Fisher's game to win if he can pull it off, because you've got to draw up things to get the ball. If Missouri State could do it, and you're going to have Evan Stewart, 5-star back, Chris Marshall, 5-star back, Anaya Smith, all SEC candidate back, Yule Keith Brown, I mentioned Moose Muhammad, all these receivers, Devon A-Chain in the backfield. Get the ball out of Mac. How cleverly designed game plan can Jimbo craft to get the ball out of Max Johnson's hands quickly, take some of that edge off of that pass rush, take some of that bite off, and then when you do that, then you can start going down the field, then you run the football. So to me, Jimbo Fisher's game plan coming in will determine who wins this football game. This is one where you go, okay, national championship head coach, he's here for a reason.
Show it.
He's a better offensive mind than people want to give him credit. I think the problems are with the whole getting the play in early and the the slow pace. I think that's more so than the design. I've seen Jimbo Fisher come out, game plan and design the hell out of it, and he's going to have to Saturday. Caroline, moving on through the SEC, I know you're going to a game. You may end up doing karaoke at one of those bars somewhere in Knoxville this weekend. So I will
probably will.
Yeah, and it'll probably be calling Baton Rouge, even though LSU's not playing, because that's what LSU people do, just like Aggies would do somewhere and just start singing the war hymn for no reason.
Well, we are playing. It's just New Mexico.
True. So we'll probably not talk much LSU this week, although we do have to revisit LSU Mississippi State. But you're going to be in Knoxville, Tennessee, Florida, college game day. It's going to be a blast out there, and also probably a hell of a football game. Florida with all that success against Tennessee, but Hendon Hooker and the Vols looking for a big moment there. How do you see that one playing out?
I think the really interesting part of this game here is if Tennessee's able to win it, I think that shows one of the biggest shifts in Tennessee football culture, just because Tennessee's not going to fumble the bag on a really big stage. So many times over the past, let's say, decade, since Lane Kiffin and Dooley and then Butch Jones, so many times Tennessee will be hyped up so much. And it's usually the Florida game. And they'll both be undefeated going into it. So much hype going into this game. They're both ranked top 25, college game day, big time stage. And then Tennessee just fumbles under all of the pressure and all of that hype. And it almost puts a stalemate in the rest of their season. So if Tennessee's able to have this big of a stage, college game day, SEC Nation, Peyton Manning's going to be there. If they're able to pull out a win, I think to me that shows more mental strength and more of a culture shift than anything. But I mean, talking about the X's and O's and the on the field thing, I think that's going to be really interesting as well. I think Tennessee is going to be able to win this game, and it's going to be fairly easy to do it if they can stop the run. My biggest question going into the Florida Kentucky game was Kentucky's going to stop the run. So can Anthony Richardson win this game with the ball in his hands? Can he throw the ball and get Florida to a win? And we saw that no, he couldn't. And he even mentioned after the South Florida game, he's like, I'm dealing with a lot of anxiety. I'm dealing with some confidence issues. And that's not going to be an easy stage to go into a packed Neyland Stadium. It's, a 3:30 kick. It's, massive stakes. That's not going to be an easy situation for him to be in. And he's going to defer to the run. So if Tennessee's able to stop it, then I think Tennessee gets a win handedly. But they're just always seems to be an element there with Tennessee. And it doesn't matter who the coach is. It didn't matter if it was Dooley or Butch Jones or Lane Kiffin or Jeremy Pruitt, whoever. Tennessee's on the big stage and they usually come up short. But I think this year, I think it's going to be different. I think this team just feels different. This Tennessee team feels different.
Explain this to me, the twists and turns that are confusing them. Like they saw that against Sam. They saw it again. How does that happen again?
Well, I'll let Steve, you probably watch him more now, but I did rewatch. I didn't notice a lot of twists getting them against.
It wasn't so much in this game.
To me, it was mainly one-on-ones.
Yeah, it was guys getting beat, just getting beat.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I was saying we got to clean up, and we're more than capable of blocking these guys. I mean, you saw kind of leading up last year, we go back because a lot of these same guys were playing last year, having these same struggles early in the season, even through the Arkansas game. And then you get to the Alabama game, and then all of a sudden they just cleaned it up, and guys were winning their one-on-one battles.
Right. It just makes me wonder what.
And that's what I want to see this week.
Throughout I get Bryce, but like Layden and Deuce and Aki's a veteran now. He started Aki's probably started 7-8 games now.
Yeah.
I watch other teams in college football. I watch A&M's D-line that I think's really good. They didn't sack Miami once. There were no guys just flying through unchecked in that game.
Yeah.
All I heard for 3 weeks is that Miami's O-line was struggling.
So the beauty you have as a defensive lineman is you don't have to think a whole lot. And you can watch what a guy does on the offensive line. You're like, oh, this guy leans inside. I'm just going to do this, that, and the other. Deep offensively, you study your guy and you know what's going on, but you got a million other things going on too.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to think about on the defensive line. You're like this guy's known leaner, or when he goes inside, he tries to jump you and get his hands down. It's a quick, you know what I mean?
He's a known leaner.
He's a known
Olin.
He is a leaner.
You know what I was thinking about, you mentioned the defensive line, Billy, is when you're in the NFL, you always see every year they draft a first-round defensive end, defensive tackle, and they come in, and that first year you're just stoning them at the line of scrimmage and one-on-ones in practice because they don't know how to pass rush yet. They come in there and they're bull rushing. They haven't learned how to use their hands yet, and that's what I'm seeing out of these younger guys. These defensive, they're super talented.
Yeah. But
they just have not quite learned the nuances of pass rush. They're not using their hands effectively or leaning. And that may develop throughout the season, but it's not there right now. And that's why you're seeing – watch them rush. Yeah. 99% of their rushes are just a straight bull rush.
And if you go back, I know it created quite a stir on Twitter and whatever it was when Jordan Davis in that practice for the Eagles was bulled that guard, and they were getting after him. I was like, man, that wasn't that bad. It was just a bull rush. Is all that was.
That ball would have been
gone.
gone.
That ball's gone.
Yeah.
So I hope a guy comes at me like Jordan Davis was doing. The worst thing that could happen was like what happened last week when you get beat quick inside.
Yeah.
So, something like that.
Yeah, we got to when it's an obvious passing down, we got to be better using our hands, getting to the quarterback quicker. We can't start with a bull rush and then counter off a bull rush. That can't be our only pass rush move.
How many sacks does this team have through 3 games?
17.
No, A&M.
Oh, A&M. I'll look it up.
I'm not sure it's not 1. It's a really low.
It's not.
number.
Yeah, it's pretty low.
Yeah, we definitely got to pick up the pass rush. We're better than that, and I don't know what's going on. But
what you're saying is right, man. You see guys getting locked up, and
the bull rush it doesn't work. You've got to. That's either a move and you throw your guy and then do a move off that, or it's like I've made my move, now I'm going to revert.
That's a first and second down type pass rush.
Yeah.
Third down, man, we got to be hitting the edge. We got to get hands off.
I don't understand. I'd like to see more of like, well, Eni White's been banged up. So when Eni White's healthy, he'll help, I think, in that regard. They got a guy in Malik Silla who hasn't really played at all. And I'm talking like I haven't bothered to ask if he's hurt. I don't think he is, though. But he was a guy that there were whispers in camp of like, okay, right now he's pretty one-dimensional. He doesn't necessarily have moves, but he is that get low at 6'5", at 4 sacks for him. Get low at 6'5", and he can really – he's just a natural pass rusher, and he explodes off the line of scrimmage. I don't understand, like –
how many of those were Sam? Sorry.
I don't understand why that guy can't –
I'll look it up.
Come in on your 3rd and 9, 3rd and 11s at least – and at least say, hey, you're going to do one thing, but you're pretty natural at that one thing. Now, maybe on a veteran D-line, you're not going to pull out Michael Clemens
right.
But he's got some of that Tyree Johnson there. He's got some of that Tyree Johnson
right now.
Yeah, and Tyree should have come back. I mean, look at his situation now.
A lot of guys should have.
He was the one though that you knew wasn't going to get drafted. If he was, it was going to be very late. And there was serious consideration to returning, and they decided to go, and it was a bad play for him, and it's hurting A&M right now big time. They would love to have
that's a whole
Tyree
discussion.
back.
We have a laundry list of guys that one more year would have done them wonders, man. And I don't know who gets in people's ears.
I'm going to tell you this,
agents or somebody.
In my opinion, that's something that they really need to work on across the street.
Yeah,
And here's what I'm about to say by it, because they would say, well, we do this, and this. And I'm like, no, I think, because I've had conversations with some of these guys, that ship for a lot of those guys, like now, has sailed. And now more than ever, you can NIL them into staying, especially those projected 5th to 7th rounders. And let's say Damani and Anaya stayed. That was bigger than I think anyone that would have stayed, like realistically.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Rewind. So my new thing is picking, well, I've done it before. I did it like a year ago. Picking a word that's random to kind of have you guys put on the comments. Last show, a lot of people commented with this random word. Nick Savage, I want you to pick up a word that has to do with Disney. Go.
Han Solo.
2 words.
Han.
No.
Solo.
I want Hans and Solo. I want them both now. Han Solo. And if you put an exclamation point, Nick will go in himself and like it. Is that a deal, Nick?
Deal.
All right. I'll probably do it too. I always do it. I always look in the morning. Hey, what'd you guys have to say? Oh, nothing. Bye. Oh, you said something. Hey. Nick will say something. A bunch of you guys will say something. Appreciate that. That's good. Oh, like, comment, subscribe. You probably didn't know that. And share. Do all those things for me. We'll see you next time.